everybody. Lance Russell and Dave Brown right along ringside. By golly, we're about ready to go with more big action.
Thank you very much, and welcome to Georgia Championship Wrestling. I'm Gordon Soler, your host, and we have quite an hour in store for us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Championship Wrestling at ringside. This is Vince McMahon, along with wrestling's only living legend, Bruno Sammartino.
Welcome to this week's edition of Mid-South Wrestling Television. I'm your host, Boyd Pierce, another outstanding card.
Hey, guys, and welcome back to the Regional Rasslin Podcast, where we talk the territories. I am Ray Russell, and this week we dive back into Memphis, CWA, Jarrett Promotions, 1985, starting off a new month, June 1985, and it is going to be a doozy. Big edition this week. We'll explain in just a moment. In order to get through this episode, though, I want to bring back the one and only Mr. Gene Jackson. Welcome back to the program.
Boy, big edition this week is right. Some fun stuff this week, Ray.
Macho-sized edition, And, yeah, we got a lot going on this week, so we'll get into it. But before we can do that, we're going to do what we always do, and we're going to dive back into what happened last time here in the Memphis Territory. And, boy, I got a page's worth of notes. Bruiser Brody had put a beating on Jerry Lawler, and it was Brody wearing the King's crown last week, proclaiming himself the true King of Wrestling.
Yeah, and that wasn't something that had happened a lot. I mean, I know over the years, different people would throw the crown on and make that claim, but in 85, that hadn't been done a lot, so it was kind of jarring to see Bruiser Brody there rocking the crown.
It's more tongue-in-cheek, too, when a guy like Eddie Gilbert does it versus a guy like Bruiser Brody, where it kind of feels like a bully. Hey, you want this, you come back and get it.
Exactly.
Well, for those who missed it, we were given a reminder of what transpired on the prior Sunday's Jerry Lawler Show 2 weeks ago, when Kareem Muhammad was given the chance to act as a host of sorts to interview Jerry Jarrett and Tojo Yamamoto, and what a doozy that was.
Man, Kareem Muhammad is just becoming the total entertainment package here in the CWA. I don't know why no one else ever capitalized on this entertaining aspect of Kareem's personality, but this is really the only place it ever got showcased was here in Memphis and at this time. But boy, he's making the most of it.
He absolutely is. He's not done yet. We've got more on that later. And as you said, with that, I watched the Zambui Express, him and Bad Leroy Brown, or even Kareem later on, and the Commandos briefly there with Commando Boone, and or the Shock Troops with even Ed Gantner. And I'm not really impressed. I don't really care to watch those matches. I was kind of bored with them, but this opens a whole new, new set of eyes on Kareem Muhammad, a.k.a. Ray Candy. So curious to see if I look at him in a different light, if I can enjoy him a little more on those other territories when I go back and watch those.
Yeah, he doesn't bring any of that charisma with him, but man, seeing this stuff, if it feels like, if Vince could have seen some of this and got a hold of him, like he's somebody he could have used like on the TNT show.
Yes.
And he's got the size. There's
might
like
have
so
replaced
many elements.
Alfred. Do you think he would have replaced Alfred on that? Oh, my word.
I mean, I know back in 85 and 86, there wasn't as big a focus on, inclusion and trying to make everything as, representation, if you will. But he certainly would have checked that box in much later years. Yeah,
the McMahon would have definitely been rolling over, not in his grave, but rather just in laughter. No doubt about it, especially on the TNT. Perfect for the TNT show. Somebody go fantasy book that, and I want to go read it. But so he appears on the Jerry Lawler Show, but it didn't end there. The following week, which was last week on TV, someone liked, no, scratch that, apparently loved what they saw, and they essentially gave Kareem Muhammad nearly 90 minutes of spotlight to host last week's episode of Championship Wrestling, where he did it all, Gene. A color man. I didn't say colored man. I said a color man, ring announcer, interviewer, edgy, offensive shock, and yes, racist joke man. Even a pratfall near the end of the show. So I don't think he left a stone unturned. It was like rehearsing for Hollywood. He did everything.
Exactly. And, that's what really gave me that idea about TNT, because as I was, watching these last couple of episodes, I could just picture Vince McMahon like maybe coaching him before the next round going, ha, God damn it, pal. I like it. Lean into the racism. Let's hear more of that about those cheeks.
It's not racist because you're black, pal. You can get away with it. I can't.
You can say anything, pal. You got the golden ticket. Oh. Or maybe it's the black ticket.
Oh, no. I feel like we're on Patreon right now. Anywho, we continue on. Booker Tom Ernesto alerted us that due to the evil AWA Championship Committee, the Southern Tag Team titles had to be returned from the Fabs back to the PYT after Tux Newman's attorney noted that the illegal PYT, at the time, Billy Travis, was pinned for the belts. I guess they never heard of the Freebird rule. Then again, they haven't heard of a lot of words here in Memphis, including continuity.
It was such an odd, because, Renesto is not the heel commissioner or matchmaker or whatever the hell it is.
Not yet.
So to put the heat on the AWA Championship Committee and to put the belts back on the heel team is kind of an odd move in 85, but that's what we're doing.
Well, the titles were returned back to the PYT. The Fabs still chasing for the time being. Speaking of old Billy Joe Travis, after weeks of pushing him into that PYT slot, the third member, the Pretty Young Fangs, complete with giving him the thang, gave him the glove. They apparently randomly removed Travis from the group without explanation and team him now with Ron Sexton. And it got even more confusing when the next morning, Travis was seen with Tux Newman answering fan mail together on the Jerry Lawler Show.
That feels like a bit of a demotion there. Nothing against Ron Sexton, but he's not a PYT, so we'll see where this goes from here.
Yeah, very peculiar. We also saw the TV debut of Jay Youngblood, as well as the return of two Memphis stalwarts in the spoiler, Frank Morrell. I'm sure Jamie Ward loved that one. And even more notably, Phil Hickerson back in the territory, at least last week. So we've got some new names and reappearing names here in town.
Yeah, we do. For me, I always thought of Frank Morrell more as a referee because that's how I saw him as a kid
here.
more than I did as a wrestler.
Right.
But Phil Hickerson, I always enjoyed Phil Hickerson. He was always entertaining in promos, just as Phil Hickerson, and the whole PY Chuhai thing with Tojo was a whole nother level of just silliness, but yet still pretty darn fun. And Phil, after his wrestling career, had quite a run as a morning DJ over there in like the Jackson, Tennessee area, and I could really see him doing well at that based on the things you heard on Memphis Wrestling over the years.
Yes, somebody was entertained if they tuned in. I wish somebody had taped that on a cassette. Let's get some of that. Anybody out there with some cassette footage of that? Send it over. I got a way to digitize it. Let's do it. Play it here on the air and have some real fun, man. Phil Hickerson.
We needed Phil and Kareem in the morning over there.
Oh my God! Talk about cash money. Holy shit. Howard Stern would have been in trouble, man. Holy damn. Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, P.Y. Chuhai is what I grew up on. I'm about 9-10 years old. I didn't really get what was going on with the gimmick, so I just bought it the way it was. But it was definitely fun. And with Tojo in his corner. So we got them. We saw them last week. Jay Youngblood is here, at least for the time being, as kind of a semi-main eventer on the babyface side. And although his crown was stolen by Bruiser Brody, Jerry Lawler still appeared on TV last week, and he proved to be the one to finally shut Kareem Muhammad up, briefly anyway, with a piece of plywood over the head. Again, near the end of last week's show, Lawler had heard enough. Kareem Muhammad having a big laugh at the expense of the king. He just walks over and breaks a board over his head. It's quite comical, guys.
Yeah, an abrupt ending to Kareem's comedy bit. Rather than getting tomatoes thrown at him, he gets a board broke over his head.
It was good stuff. One of the best pieces of TV we've seen thus far, although we haven't seen this episode yet. And this all leads to the Jerry Lawler Show last Sunday morning, when the King breaks down and offers Kareem the chance to host his show next week, which is now this week. And I can't wait.
Oh, yeah. Because he seems to be upping the ante each week. And it's like, good Lord, what can he do? What can he do this week?
Jerry Lawler giving him carte blanche, 30 minutes of TV there Sunday morning. Be careful what you say, Kareem. As the fabulous one, the original fabulous one, Jackie Fargo returns again to the territory, got off his couch to aid Tojo and Jerry Jarrett in their war against the PYT.
Hey, when Jackie gets up off that couch, shit's done got real. You know what I mean? It's serious, because usually whatever he needs to handle, he'll handle it from a pre-taped promo on that beautiful couch right there.
That couch that was sitting there for decades. And hopefully when he got back to the Mid-South Coliseum, they fumigated that thing for the next round. Jerry Oski shocked the booking world when he picked up victories all last week over the Southern champion Macho Man Randy Savage in coal miner's glove matches. Now, albeit non-title matches, it was a head-scratcher at first, but then, well, we're going to find out why Jerry Oski went over.
Yeah, I'm sure back at the time, the smart fans at least were like, what the hell's going on? And then it all becomes real clear not too long from now.
Yeah, it all makes sense here in just a few minutes' time. Jerry Lawler continuing his feud with Bruiser Brody and Kareem Muhammad into last Monday's Coliseum card. Jerry bringing in the big guns, the return of the Universal Heartthrob, Austin Idol, darling, complete with a banana microphone.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say to that, but
it was
Idol's back.
It bees that way, I guess. Yeah, briefly, as it usually works. But yeah, so Jerry Lawler brings in the Austin Idol there, Darlin, take it on Kareem Muhammad and Bruiser Brody. It seems like the feud would continue this week, but unfortunately, well, maybe fortunate for some, they've got other plans, as we're going to see moving into the Coliseum this week. So without further ado, let's head off now, Gene. We're heading into the month of June 1st edition of the CWA's Championship Wrestling. Alrighty, it is Lance and Dave right along ringside, and an extra exuberant Lance Russell this week, welcoming us to the program.
Ooh, yeah. Hello again, everybody. Lance Russell and Dave Brown right along ringside, and a great crowd here today, all ready to go. What's going to be an outstanding show, Dave?
It should be. We're going to have Kareem Muhammad. Mr. Kareem Muhammad will be in here in a single match coming up in just a few minutes. A little bit later on, we will have the fabulous one, Stan and Steve, will be right here. PYT Express will be going against the Batten Twins, too. That's all coming up a little bit later today.
Right now, we're going to take a look at some of those folks who are going to be appearing with us. Let's look at it.
Let's look at it. Oh, yeah. You think it was like a shot at the Macho Man? Lance Russell just sounds extra excited, extra juice in the veins or something.
Yeah. And, you know, watching this, you can't help but share that enthusiasm. You know, I'd come home from work, was pretty tired, and sat down like, I need to watch this. We're going to record. And I don't know, man. Lance comes on. He's all fired up. Next thing you know, I'm fired up. And let's see what he's so happy about.
You know, I told you off air once upon a time, I had a listener, maybe not a listener, tell me that I have too much energy to listen to me. And I think it's the energy in Lance Russell there that really brings in the fan, that it wakes you up, like you said, and it gets you going. And so I really enjoyed it. It was noticeable enough to where I grabbed a soundbite anyway.
Exactly. It wasn't lost on you that, you know, Lance is never like a bummer, like, hey, welcome back. Hey,
guys. Right.
But, yeah, there was a little, like you said, there was a little extra oomph there. So you knew something had gotten Lance fired up that morning. So then you're automatically like, all right, well, let's see what he knows that we don't.
Little extra Scotch nature in the pocketbook this week, perhaps. He's a couple extra bucks to be made, perhaps. Oh, so we get that intro video again. We saw it last time. They do it again this week. Different music for each clip of the guys coming in. That had to take a little bit of time. As we learned this week, we're going to see Jay Youngblood, Jackie Fargo, likely via VTR, Kareem Muhammad, Jerry Jarrett Tojo Yamamoto, the Fabs, the PYT, and the Macho Man, whose video was set to the tune of Fame. Something about that just didn't work for me.
No, I mean, his video recently was set to Kiss War Machine.
Right.
But they transferred that off to Kareem, and now the Macho Man is set to the theme song from Fame. But, man, you can tell it's 85. It's the freaking Wild West. We're just using whatever songs we want with no regard to anything. And those were the good old days. It's
just wrestling. Nobody's paying attention. Paulie got away with it way longer than he ever should have there in ECW. And I'm thankful for it. But we're going to go to the ring. Going to see Kareem Muhammad out there taking on Keith Eric. Quick, easy work this week for Kareem. Diving whale headbutt gets the win in what Dave calls 50.5 seconds. I wrote, what the fuck is Dave timing with? A stopwatch? Talk about accuracy.
I know. I was wondering, Lance, like, what the hell are you talking about, Dave? 50.5?
Click that stopwatch. 50 and a half, not 50, 50 and a half. Dave's got to be accurate. And Kareem Muhammad going over in near record time.
Yeah, poor Keith Eric. At least it was quick, you know. I'm sure he wasn't excited to see Kareem come barreling towards the ring. So at least it was, I ain't going to say quick and painless, but it was quick.
Yeah, and it wasn't Coco, so I'm sure Keith was thankful for that. So with a match in and out in only 50 and a half seconds, we've got time for a second match here in the first segment of the show. And that's going to feature, well, David Johnson in the ring. And I know that because it says David across his ass. His opponent, the debut, the return, I'm not really sure, of the Mexican Angel. Lance Russell quipping that the first match so quick, right into the next one, just 1 minute later. So we are 2 minutes into the show and we are on our second bout. That's what's going on this week, guys. So the Mexican Angel right away in control with your basic heel clubbering here. Pretty generic offense and look. Crowd not really making a noise either for this one, as we see a backbreaker and a running splash from what is billed as a 232-pound man. Big splash there gets it 1 minute and 16 seconds as Lance again says, we could run 6 more bouts before a commercial at this point.
Well, he's not wrong. But boy, we like you said, the fans were not really enthusiastic
not
about
a sound.
The Mexican Angel.
No, definitely not. Post-match, in an attempt to get some semblance of heat, the Angel going to drag David Johnson over to the announce desk and hammer him a few more times before shouting in Spanish. Lance Russell apologizing if it was bad because, as we know, he doesn't speak Mexican, Gene. So remember the tell him in Mexican, Lance Russell.
Tell him in Mexican just to get out of here.
There was no translator there to tell him in Mexican for Lance.
No, definitely not. So he doesn't know what the Angel just said, but if it was bad, he apologizes. No bleep machine. But I felt like this was ad-lib. There was no response. The Angel kind of just drags David Johnson over to where Lance and Dave are speaking and beats on him a little more, and that didn't really help either.
No, it's... I was just surprised at how dead the crowd. I mean, I expect people to be, beside themselves with
right.
Who this
Super
was.
Yes.
Considering we're just raiding Mexican nursing homes apparently in the last few months.
Yeah. Apparently.
Going down to Mexico and just whoever's can still stand up and put some boots on, we're bringing them to come on to Memphis. We got stuff for you to do. And like you said, was his return, was his debut. We've seen this gentleman here before, but maybe we didn't realize we had seen this gentleman before. I'm sure you'll probably elaborate on that more momentarily. But
well, if I miss it in my notes, you're welcome to back it up. The Angel, though, is indeed there's been a lot of angels over the course of wrestling history. This is actually Francisco Flores, who was basically done here by 1985. Imagine that. He broke in back in 1960. He was in and out of the Gulas territory multiple times throughout the 1970s, essentially finished up a couple years before this, though he pops up for a couple matches in Puerto Rico here in 85. And then these shots pretty much end at least his documented in-ring career. So similar to Cyclops, aka Cyclone Negro, he a little more mobile too than Cyclone here in 1985 as the Spanish. Yeah. Not that he did a whole lot, but it just feels like Tom Ernesto calling on another guy that he depended on 20 years ago.
Yeah, and word is, and I know there was a big debate over one particular booking between like Scott Bowden and Jim Cornette a few years ago, but it is known to be a fact that at least once or twice, and I think it was like 79 or 80, somewhere in there, they brought Flores in as Mil Mascaras.
Oh, you're right. Yep.
A whole bit.
Yep.
And then one really well-known match. Like I say, there was a big debate. There's a podcast done about all this, and was it Jerry Jarrett that swore that was actually Mill, and I think it was Cornette that insisted it wasn't, or maybe Bowden was insisting it wasn't. Anyway, it was. I don't think we ever got a definitive answer on that, but for sure, there was at least a couple of different times that they advertised Mil Mascaras that it was definitely Flores.
Right. Yeah. I don't believe Mill came in there and did those jobs. Certainly not in the Memphis territory. So I think we can.
Yeah, because the one in question, Mil Mascaras had done a stretcher job, and Cornette's like, "There's no way in hell."
Hell no, no, I don't believe that. Not for a fucking minute, man. Holy cow, that guy's not going to do a stretcher job. He's not doing a stretcher job till he gets buried. That's the end of it.
Exactly. And he's probably got somebody he's paid ahead of time to make sure it doesn't happen then.
Oh,
like,
my. Yeah.
You stand me up and carry me out on a two-wheeler.
His tomb is made vertical. He will never lay on his back.
No job.
No job. Mil máscaras. See. Oh, man. Yeah, so Francisco Flores in the territory for the time being, as is Jay Youngblood. We talked about that. We go to a VTR of Jay Youngblood in a field somewhere in jeans and a Native American headdress. He shows off the headdress, which trails down about 6 feet of feathers. He says, you earn these feathers. Sometimes a fan, a kid, will ask for a feather, and he can't give them out. And now he's going to explain to us why. As he sits, and here comes the stereotype, he sits Indian style, guys, in the grass for story time. And Gene, I know you're a little older, you're a couple of years older than me, and in my day, that was called Indian style, but they have since changed that because that is now, again, a negative stereotype. So we're not allowed to call that Indian style because they're no longer Indians. And in many cases, even people older than children, it is supposed to be called crisscross applesauce. And I refuse to say that.
I'll just call it CM Punk pipe bomb style, I guess. I don't know. Little did people know that whole famous pipe bomb promo was inspired by Jay Youngblood promo in blue jeans from Memphis back in 85.
Back in 85, sitting down Indian style in the grass, he talks his tribal chief awarding him feathers over time, earning them for academics, sports, and in other ways. Some of his tribesmen grew up to become doctors, some became lawyers, and in Jay's case, he became a professional wrestler. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, the way he describes this. However, he does mention he's been a former world tag team champion, of course, with Ricky Steamboat. They were on top of the world there in Jim Crockett Promotions, but Jay and his demons, which are going to catch up to him actually here later in 85. But then the conversation goes back to his feathers. Each one has a meaning, Gene, that came from his forefathers. And this shit goes on, guys, for like 4 minutes. It felt like 4 hours. I wrote, holy shit.
Yeah, this made the PYT parking lot promo or pasture or wherever they were at feel like it was a quick one. Like, and I also was thinking in this, like, not only did this inspire the CM Punk pipe bomb promo, but somewhere Paul Heyman was like, Tribal Chief. I like that. He was making notes.
Tribal Chief. Yes, sir.
I'm going to use that someday, somewhere. But, as I'm watching this initially, I'm thinking, okay, has there been a problem with, like, kids and people pulling feathers out of his damn headdress or something? Like, why are we doing a 12-minute public service announcement about the feathers in his headdress? But then it all becomes crystal clear before too much longer. But I was just so baffled because it didn't put over, he wasn't talking about anyone in particular. It really didn't set up an angle with anybody. It was basically just like, hey man, quit asking me for my feathers. They're, important and they're sentimental and, they mean something. Then,
kids, quit pulling my feathers. That's
seriously, man.
I'm a baby face. Cool. Don't make me chop you. So we come out of the video and we go straight to the ring for a Jay Youngblood match, taking on Jerry Bryant, of course. Well, with those long flowing feathers, that bonnet, he's wearing it out to the ring as seen in the VTR. He's got it now in the studio as he takes on Jerry Bryant, who is in the ring, hopping around on one foot, cupping his hand to his mouth, and mimicking what we believed at the time was a way to impersonate an Indian.
I mean, isn't it? I mean, have we learned better?
I know the Renegade Warriors were doing it in 1990 on the WCW because I just saw that earlier, so I guess it makes it okay.
Oh, I mean, we're not supposed to do that, but it doesn't make it any less accurate. I mean, I know Tatanka didn't exactly do that a lot, but he did do the brain dance.
The war cry. So Jay Youngblood out here, he greets Lance and Dave and hands off his feathers to the announcers before he rushes to the ring on the warpath. Jay attacking Bryant before he can get his jacket off, making him pay for mocking Youngblood here, chopping him to the floor. Back inside, it's more Youngblood in control. Meanwhile, Kareem Muhammad, here it is, joins commentary, uninvited, I might add, to which Lance exclaims, marvelous. You gotta love Lance Russell here.
Which was the watered-down TV5 Saturday morning version of, fuck me, this guy.
Oh, for fuck's sakes, not him again. Kareem says he once passed through a Indian reservation in North Carolina. He says, it's really just a prison where they keep the Indians because they get wild on that fire water.
My God. Kareem.
He also wants us to know that he once passed through Hong Kong, and they sell those damn feathers for $9.95. Then the Indians go and buy them and resell them for $19.95.
I was like, kayfabe, Kareem, Jesus. Chief Jay Strongbow just had a heart attack somewhere and didn't even know why.
Tell it like it is, brother. The Indians, man, they be buying them $9.95 feathers over in Hong Kong, reselling them for $20 over here. I just wrote Jesus here in my notes. I mean, it just goes on. I should mention Kareem again in an insert bubble on the screen during the match. And so we can see him put the headdress on, ignoring the scalding from Lance Russell, who seemed genuinely upset. Oh, don't put that on, damn it, Kareem. He places it on his head and begins his own Indian war cry, woo, 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 which distracts Jay Youngblood and allows Jerry Bryant to take over in the ring. This actually happened, guys. Muhammad then begins ripping up the headdress as Jay keeps trying to come after him, but Jerry Bryant keeps on top of him in the ring while Kareem laughs and mocks Youngblood. I mean, this is just total heel shit, but it's funny instead of heel heat, at least the way I saw it anyway.
I just pictured Lawler back there pissing himself in front of a monitor watching this, knowing he probably called every bit of it.
Yeah, he probably gave Kareem every line here as he tears the feathers up. Yep. Lance really letting him, come on, that's someone's personal property. Finally, Jerry Bryant caught using a rope, not really sure we got it from, choking Jay, gets disqualified. So we have a job guy in the ring getting disqualified for cheating. So Jay Youngblood can't even get heat back by pinning someone in the ring, or at least chopping Jerry or something, while Kareem Muhammad's out there making jokes and ripping up his headdress. Match goes about 4 minutes and 20 seconds. And finally, the babyface is waiting backstage for the bell to sound. Out comes Lawler, Tojo, and the Batten twins, who are back here in the studio.
Oh boy, get ready for the expiration of time match today, I bet.
I bet so. And Youngblood finally tossing Jerry Bryant off, who takes off when the numbers don't match up anymore. Jay dropping down to his knees on the studio floor and does a terrible acting job, crying over his destroyed sacred headdress. And the best part of this was Jerry Lawler's face as he stood over Youngblood, because it was a halfway trying to act like he was disgusted at Kareem Muhammad and then half acting like this just looks like shit. And for the record, a lot of the headdress was still intact.
Lawler should have been like, look, when you go over to the headdress, just imagine that Kareem just flushed your heroin down the toilet and you were just absolutely beside yourself. I mean, all right, to their credit, what felt like a random, obnoxiously long promo was actually establishing, the importance of this headdress and what it represented and all this. And then we turn around and take, Kareem Muhammad, who we've had, embroiled in a feud with Lawler in some form in the last couple of weeks. And now we've pivoted to Kareem and Youngblood, and it's actually got some, in theory, some heat because he's destroyed his sacred headdress. Now, like you said, that shit acting job on the floor may take away from that. I don't know. People may not have been as discerning about
the fans certainly didn't seem to care.
In '85, but yeah, they weren't. None of them seemed overwhelmed by it. So, but whoever booked it, they were at least making a good effort here. In theory, if people could have carried it. Well, I don't say people. If Youngblood could have carried his part out, because in my mind, Kareem did great. Although, like you said, it came off more like a Saturday Night Live skit than heat on a wrestling show. But still,
well, it wasn't even like the feathers looked like they had went through the wood chipper either. So that didn't really help with the heat. It was just he ripped a few feathers off of it, and he acted like it was like you said, the heroin had been flushed down the toilet. Only he did it in a poor manner. But so. That's going to wrap up this segment of CWA TV. We're going to take this quick WrestleCopia timeout, and when we return, we're going to go from the ridiculous to the sublime.
Relive the glory days of Memphis wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat to Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at uswapodcast.com.
Hey guys, Ray Russel here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Rasslin podcast, where we talk the territories. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. But that's not all. You can also check out the Pro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Puroresu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to our social media guys for all the latest goings on here at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Plus, I'm constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And why not subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. And of course, now would be a fantastic time to become a WrestleCopia patron over at patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That address again, patreon.com/WrestleCopia, where you get so many gifts, including all of my insanely detailed show notes for every episode of the Grenade Show, Regional Rasslin, and the Monday Warfare podcast. You'll also get early access to a lot of the podcasts here on the WrestleCopia brand, where you can listen days and sometimes as much as a week earlier than the rest of the listeners. But that's still not all, guys. You also get at least a dozen digital downloads for your viewing and reading pleasure each and every month, plus random bonus video drops, and of course, the Patreon exclusive Watch Along series covering many past WWF and WCW events. And if that's not all, videocasts, also now a part of Patreon. No subscription, cancel anytime. Give it a try for a month, guys. I think you'll like the content that I offer, and every penny of it goes right back here into paying the bills. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia. Help me pay some of the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and all of the great shows here up and running for the months and the years to come.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
All right, we are back, guys. And boy, I don't want to forget about the last segment we just witnessed, because it was fun in its own way. But now we're going to get a little serious here, because Lance Russell, and you know it's serious because they pull up a chair. Lance Russell going to have a sit-down interview with Jerry Lawler, who's back out just 2 minutes later after the commercial break, sporting a suit coat that he did not have on 2 minutes ago. So kind of kills that for me. But Russell announces, Gene, that the upcoming match at the Mid-South Coliseum this Monday night will feature Jerry Lawler versus Randy Savage for the Southern Heavyweight title. But even more than that, it will be a loser leaves town match. If the Macho Man loses, he must leave Memphis for at least a minimum of 1 year. And if Jerry Lawler loses, he must retire from the ring.
You know what I found interesting about this? Savage is the champion, so he's already putting up the belt. So you would expect that maybe Lawler I'm sick of Savage and all his, shenanigans out here, and he's attacked photographers and announcers and everything. And if I can beat him for the title, I want to run him out of town. But instead, it's presented as, hey, we asked Savage if he'd defend the title against you, and Savage is like, no, man, I ain't wrestling him unless we can make it a loser leave town match. So Savage is the one who's not only going to put his belt up, but he's the one whose idea was make it loser leave town, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's also very abrupt, and obviously we're going to find out why here in just a little bit, but at the same time, I mean, it came out of nowhere. We didn't know about it at the top of the program. There was nothing leading to it. It felt like Lawler was in the middle of his feud with Bruiser Brody, and then boom, out of nowhere, I'm sick of Randy Savage. I want my belt back, and it's all going to go down this week, as the King felt Savage has been avoiding him by continuing to wrestle Jerry Oski. I found that funny. It sounded like the King was kind of burying Oski there. He's avoiding me by continuing to wrestle that schmuck, but he finally gets his shot, and it's winner take all as we go off to a music video clip. Famous matchup between Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee. Theme from Rocky II playing there. Great matchup way back in time. Also, we see a clip from earlier this year, Jerry Lawler versus Eddie Gilbert, where Jimmy Hart had to leave the Memphis Territory, though he was already gone.
Yeah, speaking of abrupt loser leave town matches and involving this similar reason why, we're revisiting that here. It's like,
yeah.
Really? That's what's happening? All right, loser leave town this week.
Yeah, and Jimmy was already gone. So he already left town.
Yeah, at least we had enough time we didn't have to have a Randy Savage lookalike out here.
Right.
You're going to wrestle Poffo this week, and if Lanny Poffo loses, Randy Savage has to leave town.
Oh man, that would have been tremendous. Not really. I'm glad we got what we get, but that's fun. That's fun booking though. So Lawler wants us all to know, should he lose and have to leave and retire from the sport, well, he wants us all to know he has saved his money and he has invested, so he won't be on the streets selling pencils. I don't really know why that was his choice. Maybe saw somebody selling pencils on his way to the studio this morning. They then talk about the rivalry between Jerry Lawler and the Macho Man. We go back in time to Lexington, 1983. We see a clip of Randy Savage purchasing a ticket, showing up ringside to antagonize the King from afar. And then they are interrupted here during this promo from the Macho Man himself and manager Tux Newman. Lawler makes Randy laugh, but he also makes him sick at the same time, says the Macho Man. He hates his silly little grin. He dares him to make that grin when they get in the ring. So Savage out here confronting Lawler for what will be the last time, at least for a very long time, because somebody's going to leave town.
Yeah, this would be the last time we would see these two face to face in the WMC studio until 1993.
Yes.
So soak it in, folks.
I hate that little silly grin, And I can see what he's talking about. If you were on the other side of the King, you definitely would hate that smirk on his face. And the two men go face to face here. Savage says he's the star of the future, proclaims that 5 years from now, people will say that Randy Savage did what he said he was going to do. And you got to admire that fortune telling from the Macho Man.
Yeah, and, to comment on that silly little grin, for years, or most of my life, I've heard the phrase, shit-eating grin.
Yes.
I think if you want to have that term in the dictionary or the Urban Dictionary or whatever, and if you needed a picture to illustrate it, you could put that grin that Savage is referring to on Lawler's face, because that, if anything, is a shit-eating grin for sure.
Yeah, it's got to be ego, but it's not the type of ego that people are accustomed to. But it's just I got this type of a grin, like I'm above this, I'm above everything kind of grin coming off the King, and he has no worries as long as he's in. It's like in Mexico, don't go off the resort as long as Jerry Lawler doesn't go out of Memphis. He's got it made. So right, so
can't touch him.
It's amazing though that he says within 5 years from now, people will be talking about the Macho Man. He's going to be the greatest in the world, and it's very prophetic. I mean, he believed in himself, and he certainly goes out up to New York and gets over Thun. But Tux Newman going to try to cut a promo here. Jerry Lawler having none of it. Immediately snatching the microphone away. But Savage isn't done. He wants to know who the referee will be. Lance Russell suggesting, well, it's likely going to be Jerry Calhoun. We only have one fucking ref. No way, says the Macho Man. That's the King's softball buddy. I wrote LOL. Yeah, good stuff.
That was definitely a fun line right there.
That's a softball buddy. No way. Lawler agrees.
It took the grin off your face, didn't it?
Well, Jerry Lawler agrees here. They don't need a referee for this match. In fact, it's going to be no disqualification, no referee in the ring. So, wow, a lot of stips going on here. Southern title on the line, the Macho Man defending against the King. If Lawler loses, he must retire. If Savage loses, he has to leave the Memphis Territory. And now it's no disqualification, no referee in the ring. Somebody is going to win.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. Like you said, last week, on the show anyway, we've got Savage wrestling Jerry Oski. We've got Lawler in a heated feud over his crown with Bruiser Brody. And fast forward a week later, we're hard selling a loser leave town, no disqualification, no referee in the ring. Southern heavyweight title match, the be all end all between these two. It's very abrupt, but it is what it is.
Luckily, they have a couple years of backstory to where you can kind of just pull this out anytime you want, and it works here, and they absolutely have to do it here. They don't really have much of an option, but it was fun for what it was here, for being able to just put it together in a week or two time to get this situated and set up and ready to go to the Coliseum. Can't wait to see what they draw when we get there. I do have a figure, so that'll be fun when we get to the Coliseum show. At this point, they're selling like we could be seeing the end of the King, so we get a Elvis My Way video featuring the Jerry Lawler in action because, well, this might be the last time we see him here on television. And then out next, no, Gene, that is not Paul Bearer from his I Sexed Kane's Mom red hair phase. It is, in fact, Buddy Wayne here in the Territory, father of Ken Wayne, the Nightmare, out here for an interview. Apparently, I didn't realize Buddy Wayne had managed Phil Hickerson in the Spoiler last Monday night as a favor. The heels, though, blame Buddy for their loss to the Fabulous Ones, but he will have us all know that it wasn't his fault. It's not his fault if they couldn't get the job done. Wayne doesn't want to be in the limelight, but he won't be humiliated. So he's been pushed back into managing, and he's going to show that he can get the job done with any two men, any team under his guidance. Enter the brand new team of Billy Travis and Ron Sexton. So that answers that.
What a build-up. I can be successful with any team. Even these two jabronis. This is basically the introduction these two just got from Buddy Wayne, who just... It was
the old Red Rooster treatment, was it not? Kind of like,
yes.
Yeah, it was very much reminiscent.
Absolutely. Like, I'm going to be a successful manager, even though I'm managing these two jobbers right here against the Fabulous Ones. You can imagine how well that's going to go, but trust me, they're going to win. God bless that comparison you made to Paul Bearer. That legitimately tickled me because that's exactly who he looked like out here. Buddy Wayne, had been around Memphis forever and done all that, but every time he was ever on my TV screen, I was always like, this dude does not look like what you would think a wrestler would, right. Like it looks like somebody's dad out here, which he was. He was Kid Wayne's dad, which
for better or worse.
Yeah, I was going to say, which probably made him swell with pride at some point, but
yeah, when I was doing the notes here for the show, I had this on my laptop. My son sits in a recliner kind of behind me there in the living room when I'm doing notes, and he goes, "Is that Paul Bearer?" And I said, "It's funny you just asked me that because I just wrote it looks like Paul Bearer from a I Sexed Kane's Mom red hair phase." And that's pretty much, I thought it hit the nail on the head. It's very similar looking.
I'm mad at myself for not making that correlation when I watched the show. But as soon as you said that, I was like, oh my God, yes, I will never see Buddy Wayne again for the rest of my existence without thinking of that. So kudos.
Well, calling out the Fabs here for tag team action is Buddy Wayne, Ron Sexton, and the now thangless Billy Travis are apparently a tag team. So enter Stan Lane, who stops by to speak with Lance Russell, wearing a short pink shirt, a pink headband, and pink trunks. As Stan points out, this is the first time I've worn trunks in 3 years.
And I'm certainly not thangless, Lance Russell. Point that camera down.
I've got a thing or two, I'll have you know. So I thought he looked weird out here in pink, but then I realized, he doesn't even have the long tights on. He's out here in trunks. As Stan announces, Steve Kern is not here this week because he got a call and had to fly back down to Tampa to close a house he's been trying to sell for 4 years. It almost sounds legit. We know Steve Kern gets into the realty business here in the mid-'80s and does well for himself, but doesn't sound like a great salesman here. It took him 4 years to sell a house.
Yeah, I was watching that and I thought, that's probably legit, but this is one of those times like we really should have probably come up with something better than that, like put some heat on these two guys and be like, I don't know where, Steve, we arrived together and went to put these little pink panties on him when I come out. He's missing. I don't know where he's at, but no, he had to go down to Tampa and sell a house. It's fine. He'll be in Jackson tomorrow, and he'll be in Memphis Monday night.
Are you kidding me? He's been waiting 4 years to sell this swampland. Of course he's going down there to find that sucker. So
exactly. He's got him on the hook, Lance. He's got to go.
That's got to get the fish while they're on the hook. Absolutely. So with no Steve Kern, Stan Lane offers to wrestle both of these men, Travis and Sexton, one at a time, both at a time. He'll even wrestle the Hoghead, referring to Buddy Wayne here. Stan's got another great one-liner. He's got another one coming, guys. We've got a soundbite with that one. Buddy makes it clear, though, Travis and Sexton are a tag team. They wrestle as a team. Stan can wrestle both, or he can walk away and forfeit the match. And so we're supposed to get Stan Lane versus Billy Travis and Ron Sexton in a handicap match as the heels rush Stan, but Lane holds both men off, fights them both off. We get about a minute of this before Buddy Wayne going to attack Stan Lane from behind, drawing the disqualification. Wayne in there, clocking Sweet Stan in the back of the head with his shoe. And sadly, Stan Lane has to sell it. Down goes Lane as the heels jump on him. But in comes the king, Jerry Lawler, to save the day. Looks like the odds might be even, Gene, until the PYT and Randy Savage jump the king, while Sexton and Travis take out Stan Lane on the floor. And we learn Stan has been busted open thanks to Lance Russell, and apparently so has the king. The camera not picking any of that up, at least not initially, as it is total chaos, old school Memphis studio brawl everywhere, with all sorts of guys in the studio here. Tojo comes out with his own wooden shoe to make the save, as there's fighting everywhere and all the way in to the commercial break.
Wow. I mean, it's just absolute chaos here. And, man, double juice on Saturday morning TV. We're
What's
going
that
hard.
About? Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, it didn't really seem like necessary, especially for the Lawler Savage little showdown here. It didn't seem, I don't really know if it was planned or if this is one of those, hey guys, let's go out here and do this Jerry Lawler shticks at the last moment. But yeah, so it looks like Billy Travis and Ron Sexton can handle Stan Lane 2-on-1. So I don't know how they're going to fare when Kern returns and it's 2-on-2. But we are reminded to send in our postcards and we can earn ourselves some free seats to WMC TV5 studios and you were never in the studio, were you, Gene?
No, unfortunately, I never did. I went to the Coliseum quite a few times, but I never did make it up to the studio, which is a big regret of mine.
Yeah, same here. I wish I had been just a little older. I would have loved to have made that trip down there. But send in the postcards, guys. Maybe you'll still be seated there today. I don't know. I don't know what they got in that studio now. But Lance going to run down the big 9-match card upcoming at the Mid-South Coliseum. The biggest matches on the show are, well, the biggest, of course, is Lawler versus Savage. Also, it's going to be the Fabulous Ones taking on Kareem Muhammad and Bruiser Brody. It doesn't really make sense, but I'm not complaining because what it could have been. PYT's battling Jeff Jarrett and Tojo yet again, and inside a cage. I didn't say a steel cage, probably chicken wire, I'm not sure. But we're going to see Jackie Fargo step in the ring to battle Tux Newman. That's new.
Wow. All right. Well, Tux wanted to come to Memphis and experience being a heel manager. And I mean, what grander experience could you have as a heel in Memphis than to wrestle Jackie Fargo in any type of cage?
Yeah, any type of cage. And Tux Newman, of course, a manager, Jackie Fargo, a legend in the territory. So I can't wait to see how that one unfolds. As the Tuxman comes back into the studio, going to do an interview here, says legends come and legends go. And referring to Jackie Fargo, who might be going this Monday night, we go to a VTR of Jackie Fargo cutting a promo on that couch as he calls Tux Newman a big piece of shit. Literally says it here. Of course, it gets bleeped out, but I couldn't believe they left it on here. And he questions how stupid he could be to get in the ring with and another bleep follows, and I couldn't make out what he said.
No, but it was very
long,
very clear that he said piece of shit the first time.
Absolutely. I couldn't believe it, for 1985, but it is Jackie Fargo not giving a shit is what it was. He says, step into the ring with a guy like Tux Newman. He can't just whip Newman. He's going to have to destroy him. Jackie has always been a winner, and he doesn't plan to lose this Monday night. In return, Tux Newman going to reply that Jackie may have been a big wrestling star in the olden days, but Tux has some tricks up his sleeve. Fargo is a silly putty idiot. What a comeback. Piece of shit, silly putty idiot. All right.
Well, Tux, let's hope your wrestling repertoire is better than the lines you pull out in promos.
Holy
thus far.
cow, what is that? Whew, yeah, that was a hell of a comeback. That really sold some tickets. But Tuxman and Jackie Fargo inside a cage. It all goes down Monday night. We go back to the ring singles action. Going to see Tojo Yamamoto taking on J.R. Hogg. Hogg going to jump Tojo, but it's straight to the chops. Then some stalling, then more chopping, followed by a big chop from Tojo. Hogg, though, doesn't see it coming, so he runs right through it, realizes he got chopped, so he wisely runs chest first into the ropes, takes a bump backwards. Tojo makes the cover, and it's all over in 2 minutes and 9 seconds.
It was that delayed reaction chop.
Yeah. Oh, shit, you chopped me 3 seconds ago.
Yeah, it doesn't immediately. It's such a brutal chop. It takes a minute for the nerves to know what's hit them, and then when it does, it's all over.
Faster than a speed of light. It's like one of those movies where somebody gets chopped in half, but they don't fall apart immediately. Right. So
exactly.
Well, as Dave Brown runs down the upcoming events, Guy Coffey, don't see him a whole lot here on TV, stops by to explain a situation that Jerry Lawler and Randy Savage are booked up and down the road here this week, and should, no matter who loses here Monday night, they will continue to fulfill their obligations all the way through this Friday. So win or lose at the Mid-South Coliseum this Monday night, both Lawler and Savage will fulfill their contractual obligations through Friday. Which begs the question, if both guys win a loser leaves match this week, do they both have to leave the territory?
Or do neither have to leave the territory? Does it cancel itself out?
Cancel out. Yeah, there you go. This is the best of 3, the best of 5. I don't really know what we're doing here, but yeah, that's very interesting. But I love that they realize that somebody might see this somewhere, and word might get out about something this big, so they kind of have to cover their butt and let people know in some of the other cities that they'll still be making the town.
That's funny. That's happened a couple of different times, watching the old Memphis shows, and I always thought that's pretty funny when they go out there and hey, now, no matter what happens, that match is still happening in all the other towns, but we'll stick to it. You won't see him here next week, whoever loses.
That's right. So we come back here, and we now see a bloody Stan Lane. So Lance Russell was correct. Stan Lane busted open, attack at the hands of Billy Travis and Ron Sexton, and we get this little ditty from Sweet Stan.
That's about all I'm going to take out here. It's getting a little sickening, Lance. When I come out here and I sit down and wrestle one at a time, or I'd wrestle both of them one at a time. Didn't matter to me. Then all 3 of them jump in there. Let me tell you guys something. Billy Travis, what's the other guy's name? Sexton?
Ron Sexton.
Yeah, last time he had sex was reading his old man's Playboy magazine in '68.
I'll tell you what, if nothing else comes out of 85 Memphis, is that Stan Lane fired off a lot more lines and promos than I ever gave him credit for. Because I don't know, I just never really thought of Stan Lane about him being a promo guy. But man, he's had some good ones.
Jim Cornette should have gave him. Stan just kind of got lazy with the pros. Like, oh, Jimmy's going to talk. I'm not going to stop him. I'll just stand here and look pretty. But Stan Lane's
sick.
I mean,
who's going to try to get a line in around Cornette's already, about to blow up over there, but he just fell into that being the announcer for everybody, which he's he's got that announcery voice. That's perfect. But that line about Savage and making the posters in the parking lot
glitter
is probably gonna, unless somebody really pulls something out in the next 6 months, is going to be the number 1 line of 1985. I'm just going to call that right now. We'll see.
The only anybody that's ever going to come up with a better line than that would be Jerry Lawler, and that's because he's safe with his job and he can say whatever he wants. But that was a great line there from Stan Lane and the glittery posters, and Randy Savage making posters in his car and shit. Good stuff there. But here, Sweet Stan is sick of this shit. All 3 men jumping him. Buddy Wayne hitting him with a Payless shoe. Gotta love that. Shout out to Payless. Says Billy Travis and that Sexton guy. Well, the last time you heard it, guys, last time that guy had sex was with his father's Playboys back in '68. But he promises that payback is coming at the hands of the Fabs.
Wow. Payless shoe was a good line too in there too. Little dig.
Little Payless shoe. I love it. Old school, man. This is good stuff. Stan Lane's full of lines here today. All right. Well, we got one more match this week on the program before we end the show. Expiration of Time Express return. Talking about the Batten twins. Mark and Brad Batten are back to take on the Southern Tag Team Champions, the PYT Express. I feel like we've seen this before, but it's been so long since we've seen the Battens in the studio. It's nice to have them back.
Yeah, we haven't seen a severe beating of the Battens in a while, so it's time to get the PYTs back over again now that Coco's back in action.
Well, let's see what happens here. We've seen the Battens on a lot of house show results, but not for TV. They haven't been making the drive from wherever they were living at the time. But the PYT getting too cocky too early, and the Battens take advantage. Coco getting popped in the face at one point. You just know there's revenge on his mind. And this is the most offense the Battens have had all year combined in this matchup. About 5 straight minutes of the Battens in control here, but one of them finally got to telegraph a backdrop, eating a big Coco clothesline. And then Ware with the power slam. Norvell Austin running in with a big elbow. Going to get the win. 6 minutes and 41 seconds.
When they got all that offense in, all I could think watching that was they had been trying for the last couple of weeks, spot shows, to get them to come to TV. And they're like, no. And then finally they're like, no, we're not coming to TV. He's getting jobbed out like you've been doing. Screw that. We don't need it. So somebody's like, all right, look, we can't put you over on the PYTs, but we will give you 5 solid minutes of you in control, you looking good, and then they'll slip it out at the end. What about that? And they're like, better not be pulling no shit on us, And so they showed up, and they for 5 minutes they looked really good, and then of course the inevitable happened. But unlike those, oh my God, the last couple times they were there, especially when they got the whipping with the belts.
In the face. Yeah, that was
absolutely terrible for them guys.
It's kind of like payback here. It's just to let him get some basic offense in is all this was, and it felt like somebody told him, now, when Davey says 5 minutes gone, you guys are just going to do the job. Shut the fuck up and take the fall.
Then you die.
That's the end of that. That's going to conclude the show. 1 fall there to the expiration of time. The PYT do get a win over the Batten Twins in a competitive, fun TV match. As we close out the show, obviously with Randy Savage likely leaving, they had to put Jerry Lawler and Bruiser Brody, the feud, on the back burner for a week. So we're going to see Lawler and Savage matches here all throughout the week. But before we do that, we're going to go into Saturday house show results in Marks, Mississippi at the high school, featuring the likes of Jerry Lawler, the Spanish Angel, Mexican Angel, I don't even remember now, Adrian Street, the Batten Twins, Kareem Muhammad, and supposedly Johnny Wilhoit, who has yet to show up for any of these results, but he's always booked.
Yeah, he's there. I've wrestled in Marks, Mississippi more than once, and it's quite the mecca of professional wrestling, let me tell you.
I love it. They're also Saturday night at the Nashville Fairgrounds. Jackie Fargo against Tux Newman in the cage. Tojo and Jarrett against PYT. Savage taking on Jerry Oski in that coal miner's glove match, finally making the rounds there in Nashville with that one. Fabulous Ones versus Billy Travis and Lanny Poffo. Jay Youngblood and Speedy Talltree taking on Tommy Gilbert and Frank Morrell under the hood as the spoilers. So Nashville is loaded. Meanwhile, in the other card, well, we got Kareem, we've got Jerry Lawler, and just a bunch of other guys at this point. And I'd hate to call Adrian Street that, but he hasn't been on TV and he only works random shows. I'm not really sure what the hell's going on with Adrian Street right now.
Yeah, how the hell does Adrian Street end up in Marks, Mississippi randomly, unless he was working for Watts somewhat close by and ended up over there? But that's so, such an odd booking for him.
It is, and I thought some of these might have been typos, but then every once you'll see him appear in the Mid-South Coliseum in these results, and they are accurate. The video footage is out there to prove that Adrian Street is still somewhat in the Memphis territory all the way here into the month of June, which is just really weird. But we move on to Sunday. I've been waiting for this one. The Jerry Lawler Show, June the 2nd. Actually, the Kareem Muhammad Hour, which only runs 30 minutes. Ironically, immediately upset that the intro read Jerry Lawler Show and not guest host Kareem Muhammad. So we're off to a great start.
Hey, I don't blame him. All right. I mean, this is the Kareem Muhammad show this week, and the credit should have said so.
Oh, I'm on board. Anything he says at this point, I'm just going to follow along with. As his first guest this week are the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and Tux Newman in a sit-down interview here, talking about the upcoming big match Monday night, Savage and Jerry Lawler. History to be made, says Macho. One man goes on, but a reputation must fall, and a loser must leave. He says Lawler must retire as the Macho Man guarantees victory, says the final chapter. As we go off to the Macho Man War Machine video, and we come back and he talks a little Macho Madness, coining the phrase before he even arrives to the WWF. Macho Madness is here.
Nice. Well, that's more like it. I might have, some inkling that maybe the Macho Man in a War Machine video can beat the King in Memphis, but Macho Man set to the song Fame? No.
The Kiss of
Although
Fame.
I know that was he liked that song apparently, because I know he used it for different things in ICW and whatnot.
Wouldn't that be perfect for Lanny Poffo? That like totally fits Lanny Poffo.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the funniest things I ever saw, this is way off topic, but not exactly because it's a song, but at a Alabama indie show, this one guy, he used the song Fame by David Bowie. And then we were at a different show that we don't normally work. And they're like, hey, what do you come out to? And he's like, I come out to Fame. And when it come time for his song, that version of the song Fame come on instead of David Bowie. They couldn't even go through the curtain. He was so mad. I remember about it to this very day.
Oh, I love it. I could just see Lanny Poffo coming out to it with leg warmers on, man. It would have been a great time. The little dance.
He would have pranced his way down there. He would have loved every minute of it.
Pull up the leg warmers. Yeah, that's right. Well, Kareem Muhammad states that with Jerry Lawler, he's going to be gone here after Monday night. He asks Randy Savage if he wants to be his new co-host here every week on what will be his brand new TV show. We also hear from Tux Newman at this point, commenting on the retired has-been, Jackie Fargo. As Newman, he was worried about stepping in the ring in the cage with Jackie Monday night, but realized that he could take Fargo down when he took him out last week. Fargo going down at the hands of the PYT, and of course Tux Newman coming in, getting in his licks. And now he feels confident somehow that he could take Jackie Fargo on Monday night. But just a really fun promo. Kareem doing a great job, obviously, but Randy Savage, I mean, he's just really dialed in right now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's a great line for him to point out that, hey, well, since Lawler's going to be gone after you beat him, you could be my new co-host because this is permanently going to be the Kareem Muhammad show. That's a good call.
Yeah, and, I wrote this is the best segment I've seen all year, maybe on everything we've watched, to be honest with you, to some degree, but it was all Randy Savage's promo. It just felt like next level. It felt like he'd already been in the WWF for a couple years. He was just that far ahead. I guess he's just been waiting to pull this stuff out, and he did a tremendous job. But the show's going to continue on. Randy Savage, Tux Newman have to leave, and so it's time for the viewer mail segment. But the mailman, or excuse me, the mail lady, the lady who sent the mail in, is on the phone. I didn't really understand this. Her name is apparently Nancy. She says she loves the Jerry Lawler Show, but she wonders, it took 5 years to get rid of Jimmy Hart. Will it take that long to get rid of Tux Newman? So, Kareem going to ask the lady, why would you write garbage like that? Are you fat? Is your old man not treating you right? And then hangs up the phone on her.
I love the first question is, are you fat? Like, and it's Kareem saying it of all people.
Yes, exactly.
Tremendous.
That was not lost on me. Are you fat? Is your old man not treating you right? And then he hangs up the phone on her. It makes fun of someone's artwork as well. And I want to be clear, these are all things I have no doubt Jerry Lawler's standing off screen wishing he could do, but he can't because he's a babyface. So he's probably living through Ray Candy right now in these segments.
100%. I guarantee it. Yes.
Man, if we could have only got a heel king hosting the Jerry Lawler, that would have been tremendous.
Yes, for sure. But yeah, all these things that he's doing, you nailed it right there. That is Jerry Lawler living vicariously through Ray Candy's character right here. These are the things that he wants to say, but he can't say. But Kareem sure can.
I gotta love
Even
it.
back to all the Tojo stuff and all that too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And speaking of the king, not too far away off in Studio B is Jerry Lawler. He pops up on the screen here to talk with Kareem Muhammad, who is obviously, I guess that makes the king the guest this week. As Lawler thinks, well, this is probably going to be the last week of the Jerry Lawler Show. He's pretty sure the general manager of Channel 5 is going to be yanking this off the air. I wouldn't doubt it. Lawler, though, mocking Ray Candy's Muslim name of Kareem Muhammad, and says that he heard that Buckwheat from the Little Rascals, our gang, recently became a Muslim too. Changed his name to Kareem of Wheat. Ba-dum-bump. Lawler then laughing at his own joke. So he did get one in.
Yes, he did. He had to plug himself into the show just to get that joke in, I'm sure. And boy, was it worth it.
Oh, he laughed. He definitely laughed at himself, and somebody had fun with it off air. Or off the camera. He was looking over, and you could hear them laughing as well. So Lawler entertained at least two people there. I'm just like, wow, I don't know what we're doing here. But this, you think it can't get better, guys? Here we go. Kareem Muhammad plugging Jerry Lawler's upcoming softball doubleheader. It is Lawler's Army versus the Olive Branch Misfits. All proceeds going to go to the Takindra Adams Transplant Fund. Boy, that sounds serious. Even Kareem calls it a worthy cause. Then says but the poor kid depending on Jerry Lawler to draw them money in order to live. I wrote LMAO. Holy shit.
Wow. That's tremendous because that's like the only moment of humanity you've seen from Kareem through all this is worthy calls, and then bam, he falls in with that.
Poor kid depending on Jerry Lawler to draw them some money in order to live. I'm like, holy shit, what are we doing here? My goodness, this is great TV. I'm sorry if it's, if you're into dark comedy, I mean, Kareem Muhammad is just the way to go. As they also announced next week, the TV Rasslin will be on at 10:30 rather than 11 a.m. Not really sure what the deal is with that. Then we go off to what Kareem calls a tennis ladies fashion piece. It's actually Martina Navratilova dressing up kind of in some suits, which makes sense given her sexual preference there. But yeah, so I don't really know why that fit into the show, but there it was.
There are such random segments shoehorned into these Jerry Lawler shows over the period we've watched them. It's so funny. Just like, what the hell is that? And why is it in there? But there it is.
Well, later on that evening, not only a doubleheader there with Lawler's Army, good cause. Hopefully they made some money and the transplant was successful. No thanks to Kareem.
Yeah.
Man, later on that evening.
Follow-up, I guess.
I guess not. Lawler did make it out to Jackson, Tennessee, though, June the 2nd here, later in the evening. On the card, Randy Savage and Jerry Oski, the PYT, taking on Jerry Jarrett and Tojo Yamamoto in a street fight. Loser going to get 10 lashes. And also Kareem Muhammad battling Jerry Lawler one-on-one. Looks like Fabulous One's Jay Youngblood also on that card there in Jackson. But we do have results. We're going to move on to the big one. Monday night, June the 3rd, Mid-South Coliseum, Memphis, Tennessee. Attendance, this has to be the biggest of the year, maybe for the rest of the year. 9,000 fans out for this one.
Holy, yeah, that's tremendous for this match to just come together in the course
Saturday
of one
morning?
TV.
Yeah.
Damn.
48 hours build, and they didn't do too shabby here. I know Dundee and Lawler at the top of 86 is going to do a little better than this, but they had a little more build and a little more backstory. Yeah, this came abruptly Saturday morning, and if you missed the episode, you didn't even know this was going on unless somebody told you. I'm sure it was a buzz around the town, though. 9,000 people. Wow, they're going to out here to see 9 big matches on the card, including Adrian Street over Brad Batten, Billy Travis and Ron Sexton, defeating Tracy Smothers and Speedy Talltree by DQ. So they can't even beat Tracy and Speedy Talltree, but they're going to handle the Fabs?
Damn it. Yeah,
had to be that Buddy Wayne. Oh, yes.
him and his shoe again.
Now they got the Battens back in the Coliseum. Anyway, we saw Brad do the job to Adrian Street, and it's the Mexican Angel over Mark Batten. Jay Youngblood defeating J.R. Hogg. Jerry Oski over Lanny Poffo, who's subbing in for Jerry Bryant, who was announced Saturday morning. So Oski defeating Savage last week, defeating Leaping Lanny this week. Lanny not really factored into this loser leaves deal, but something tells me he's not going to be around much longer.
No, where Randy goes, Lanny's not far behind has been, the case. So, and as we know, if you check out the Coliseum video casts, he's definitely not far behind old Macho Man.
No, definitely not. But I just find it peculiar that they don't use or incorporate Lanny in any way, shape, or form into the storyline, to a loser leaves match, any of that nature. It's just, yeah, go out there and do the job to Jerry Oski. Nobody gives a shit about you anyway. Also on the card, Southern Tag Team Champions, still the champs, PYT over Jerry Jarrett and Tojo. Once again, match goes 21 minutes by my notes. We're going to score the win on Jerry Jarrett, who may be back to retirement before too long. If this keeps up, the Fabulous Ones over Bruiser Brody and Kareem Muhammad by DQ. Match only goes a little over 2 minutes, so this one breaks down in a hurry. Jackie Fargo, surprise, surprise, scoring a win over Tux Newman inside the cage. That match also goes just over 3 minutes, which probably for the best. Probably took longer to put the cage up.
Oh, most definitely. But Jesus, when Jackie Fargo and Tux Newman put in more time than the freaking Fabulous Ones and Brody and Kareem, that's kind of sad, actually.
I kind of hope they did the 10-minute brawl or something along those lines after the actual official decision of that Fabs match, but I totally agree with you. So they take the chicken wire down, and out comes the main event. No disqualification, no referee, loser leaves town or retires, and the Southern title on the line. And as the King drops the strap, delivers the middle rope fist drop, and with no disqualification, it's the pile driver that puts away the Macho Man. And he must leave town for no less than a year. It's going to be a whole lot longer than that, about 8 years, I do believe, as Jerry Lawler is once again the Southern champion, downing the Macho Man Randy Savage. All good things must come to an end, and after 5 months, here in 1985, we bid adieu to the Macho Man.
Well, if you're going to leave Memphis, leave it in the main event in front of 9,000 people against Jerry Lawler, and not in a loss to Jerry Oski on random spot shows. So
no,
what a way to go, and we're going to repeat it. So
yeah, Randy did the right thing. He stuck around and did the job on the way out. He dropped the belt to the King, put Jerry Lawler over. They had a 30-minute match. I put it up on youtube.com/Rasslin Grenade. You guys can go check it out right now. It's a fun one. I hope to cover it on the big ones if Gene's available, or if not, we'll get it on there no matter what, because that match is too big of a match, in the history of professional wrestling to not address, especially since we're covering here, on our 85 project.
I will make myself available for that one because I haven't seen it in a long, long time. So seeing all the build up to it here over the months, yeah, I definitely want to call that.
Yeah, I only watched the finish, so I knew the finish for the show here. I don't know the story that they tell throughout the match, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. No disqualification, 30 minutes of the Macho Man and the King. It's sure to be a good one as we continue on Tuesday night, Louisville Gardens, June the 4th. And I've got some promos coming up here. We've got tag team action featuring, there's not a Randy Savage Jerry Lawler match here in Louisville, which is kind of weird, but it's in fact going to be Jerry Lawler teaming with Jay Youngblood to take on Kareem Muhammad and Bruiser Brody, and we've got interviews from both sides right now.
Tuesday night, Louisville Gardens, 7 big matches. One of them, a loser leave town with no time, no disqualification. Jerry Jarrett, Tux Newman in the ring.
In the ring. You want to do something right, you do it yourself. So I'm getting in the ring. I'm going to take on that little punk. There's no disqualification, no time limit. There's nobody, just him and me. And I'm not a wrestler, but if there's anybody I can beat, it's that punk little Jerry Jarrett, and I'll prove it Tuesday night in Louisville. That's all I got to say.
Okay, that's where we're going to find out Tuesday night. Then you're going to be seeing a tag match that'll have Jay Youngblood and Jerry the King Lawler going against Big Kareem Muhammad, Mr. Kareem Muhammad, and Bruiser Brody going against Lawler and Youngblood.
The ex-king, he showed his real colors finally. I knew it all along. I knew he couldn't get in the ring with Bruiser Brody one-on-one. I knew it. And now everybody else knows it. That's okay. That's okay with me. You bring that little Indian. You bring him.
All I did,
bring him.
In the sportsman that I was, go down. I went down to the ring to tell the referee that Jerry Lawler was cheating. Then he jumped me. And then that old Indian come out and started jumping. What you mean, how? You think I'm telling a lie or something?
Oh, I'm just saying that.
Let me tell you one thing, Jerry Lawler. You and that little skinny Indian going to pay. You go ahead and bring that crown to and give it to the only king in town. Louisville, Kentucky, get ready for some good, strong fighting, get down, drag out, whatever you want to call it. It's going to happen in Louisville.
Tuesday night, right there at the Gardens, Kareem Muhammad. It'll be Bruiser Brody going against Jerry Lawler and Jay Youngblood. You make it a point to bring the entire family. Big action Tuesday night. Hey, coming up Tuesday night, Louisville Gardens, by golly, you're going to be looking at 7 matches on a full card of action in there, and one of them is going to be a no-time, no disqualification match with a loser to leave town, and the participants will be Jerry Jarrett against Tux Newman. Boy, a lot of people want you to get rid of that guy.
Well, Lance, Tux has made the statement that he couldn't beat many people, but he could beat me.
Yes, he did.
Well, Lance, I can't beat many people, but if I can't beat Tux Newman, I don't deserve to be in the wrestling business. I've been in this business most of my adult life, and there's a man that has never been to the gym, he's never run a lap in his life, and he doesn't deserve to be in this business, and he's wreaked havoc, and he's whipped, and he's done everything he can do from outside the ring, and I'm going to get rid of him in Louisville.
Tuesday night, Louisville Gardens, by golly, and then I'm going to tell you, we got a match coming up that's going to have something else. Big Bruiser Brody will be there, and even bigger Kareem Muhammad will be there, going against the team of Jay Youngblood and Jerry the King Lawler.
Well, you got that right, Lance. You said Big Bruiser Brody. Now, here's a guy that's 6'5" and weighs nearly 300 pounds, right. And you would think that an individual like that wouldn't have to have somebody waiting in the wings like Kareem Muhammad, who is even bigger, to help him. But that seemed to be the case, because last week, after all the things that Bruiser Brody had said he was going to do to me, when the going got tough, when I got to putting this right hand upside his head, then what happens? He motions to the back, and down comes Kareem Muhammad. Well, they would have done a number on me if it hadn't have been for this young man right here. And I want to say right now that he and I together, Lance, may form one of the most awesome teams that Louisville, Kentucky has ever seen, because a lot of people may not know a lot about Jay now, but they're going to. I can guarantee you this man has a reputation, and it has preceded him, and everybody in wrestling knows what an athlete this guy is, and the people in Louisville are going to find out Tuesday night, right?
Well, you know what, Jerry? It's a privilege just to be in the same corner with you. What those guys did to you was uncalled for. There's no sense. I'm going to tell you something. We're coming here as a tag team, and we're going to
Tuesday night.
That's right.
All right, so kind of peculiar here. We're not doing the Lawler-Savage match in Louisville, but we do it in every other city, as we're going to find out, but I don't really know what the story is behind that. We do see Billy Travis and Ron Sexton over the Battens, the Mexican Angel downing David Haskins, Jerry Oski over Adrian Street. Wow. Maybe we talked about a different Mil Mascaras. Maybe we have a different Adrian Street here.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, if that wasn't a big enough shocker, Tojo Yamamoto pins the Macho Man Randy Savage.
What?
Talk about writing on the wall.
Fuck. What the fuck? There's some trivia for you. I had no idea that Randy Savage did the job for Tojo Yamamoto on his way out.
Boy, I hope there was a dog and pony show that came along with that one to get to the finish, because holy shit, I can't even imagine. Now, there's a hidden gem I'd love to see pop up somewhere sometime.
You ain't kidding. Holy crap. I take back everything I said about, well, that's the way to go out, losing to Lawler. No, let's go lose to fucking Tojo. Holy crap.
You know, when I saw the results of the main event with Lawler and Youngblood teaming, I thought, okay, maybe they want Savage to save face to some degree, or maybe he made a deal where I'm not jobbing in Kentucky, because, of course, they were in Lexington and things of that nature. Turns out he does an even shittier job in regards to losing to Tojo here. Also on the card, though, it's the PYT over the Fabs by DQ, and a no disqualification loser leaves Louisville match, at the very least. Jerry Jarrett defeats Tux Newman. That kind of came out of the blue.
Maybe I can't get past this other match. What if, like, those Jerry Oski, after you did that string of losses to Jerry Oski, he was like, I'm not losing to Oski again. I'll lose to anybody else on the roster. And Jerry is there. It's like, oh, okay.
You said
right.
anybody?
You got somebody?
Yeah, I'll get you somebody.
Only possible explanation. Speaking of Jerry Jarrett.
Yeah.
Circling back to the Mid-South Coliseum for a minute, do you think there's any chance that Coco beat him with the Brainbuster in that tag team match?
I'm going to go with a hard no, but
really good call.
The fact that there's a time listed here tells me that it's probably on one of the upcoming TV, the Jackson TV, the house shows with the matches. Yeah. So I'm going to go look for that, and we'll definitely add that to the YouTube, and we might even paste that in with the Savage Lawler show when we cover that on the big ones, because it's all on the same card. So that would be fun. We might piece together the card, just do the card from there, whatever is out there. But that's kind of crazy that Jarrett over Tux Newman in a no disqualification loser leave match. Didn't even know it was coming. And then the main event, it is Lawler and Youngblood over Brody and Kareem Muhammad. As we continue on 6 big matches, Evansville, Indiana, June the 5th here, Wednesday night, Mexican Angel over David Haskins, Kareem Muhammad putting away Tracy Smothers. It's Tojo Yamamoto over Lanny Poffo this time. PYT taking on Youngblood and Talltree. I don't have results. I'm going to assume the PYT won there. And Tux Newman, loser leaves again, does the job to Jerry Jarrett, and then loser leaves town once again, Lawler over Savage. And we've got some promos here. I know I just gave you the results, but just some really good this is the last promos we're going to hear from the Macho Man here or this week. So I think I wanted to get them in. So we're going to go to those right now, and we'll come back on the other side.
We're going to be back to Channel 7's Championship Wrestling in the Ring here in just a moment. By golly, I'll tell you, Wednesday right there at the Evansville Coliseum, I mean some matches with strong consequences coming up. Take a listen to this. Big main event will be a Southern Heavyweight title match, which Jerry Lawler will be challenging the Macho Man, Randy Savage. And if Lawler does not win, he has agreed that he will retire.
Yes, that's right. Now, who's the Southern Heavyweight Champion of the world right now? Yeah, and every time I hear the King say anything on television or radio, he talks about his Southern Heavyweight Championship belt, getting his belt back. Now, King, no more. The end of the road. One big showdown. No more matches after this one. I'm not going to even talk about him anymore. I am the Southern Heavyweight Champion. And if he does not win the belt, he will retire. Well, get ready to retire. Get ready to retire because it's guaranteed that you will, because I'm guaranteeing victory. Yeah, I'm guaranteeing victory.
That's one side of it for Wednesday night. Tux, you'll be going in a match that says if you don't beat Jerry Jarrett and you get beat, you will leave town.
Do you think I'm stupid? I'm not stupid. I'm more than smart. I'm not a wrestler, but I am intelligent. I never professed to be a wrestler. I've never come on here and said I've wrestled.
Right.
The one thing I know, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I didn't take out that spoon to put on a pair of tights and get back in the wrestling ring. You made a big mistake, Jarrett, because I'll tell you something. The one thing I do know is you're just a little punk. And if I can beat anybody, it's a punk like you that doesn't even know what he's doing, because Tojo Yamamoto is always in your corner. Tojo Yamamoto is always the one that's helping you. I don't need anybody to help me. So you know what we're going to do in Evansville, Indiana? It's going to be everybody out of the ring and just you and me.
Let me see something right now. If I don't beat him, I'll never show my face again.
Yeah, I can't stress too strongly how important the action Wednesday night at the Evansville Coliseum is going to be. Of course, there will be 6 full matches going in there, but a couple of them I really want to hit on. One of them, a loser leave town with no time, no disqualification. Jerry Jarrett and Tux Newman. Loser leave town. For some reason, Newman, who is not a wrestler, thinks he can beat Jarrett, and he's taking this one on, and the loser will be leaving town in there. Now, the other one is going to be a Southern Heavyweight title match between Jerry Lawler challenging Randy Macho Man Savage, defending that title. But more important than that, and Jerry, this is even more important than the loser leave town in the fact that you have agreed that you will retire if you don't win this match. Now, Savage has stood out here and guaranteed victory. He said he's so sure he won't even show his face in Evansville if he doesn't win this one. He is really confident on this.
Well, I knew he was confident from the beginning because he was the one who demanded this stipulation. I've had people in Evansville ask me over the past month, why don't you try to get a Southern title match? Why don't you try to get your belt back? Well, I've had my name in for a title match for a month, as you know, Lance, and then, but it was always Savage denying me that match, and he finally went to the promoters and said, if Lawler will agree to this stipulation, then I will give him the match. And, it's something that I didn't readily agree to. I sat down, I talked with Eddie Marlin for a long time, because, there are a lot of things that are riding on the outcome of this match. I talked to my family about it, and I've had a long and what I consider a successful career, and Evansville, Indiana has been an important part of that career to me, and the fans there have been great to me. I've been fortunate to come out on top in most of my matches there in Evansville. This is going to be the biggest one without a doubt that I've ever had. And Randy Savage, you've been the Southern Heavyweight Champion for a long time now. And I know you're confident, and I know you think you can win this match, or you wouldn't have made the statements that you made. But I feel like I can win it too, and I'm going to be there in Evansville Wednesday night, giving it everything I can.
All right, so another couple of promos there. Lawler and Savage selling it for Evansville this time. And again, Savage loses, and thus he must leave town.
Now, before you scroll down, spoiler people, I can see notes, but right now Ray hasn't scrolled it down. We've seen Tojo beat Randy in Louisville. We've seen Tojo beat Lanny in Evansville. Please tell me in Lexington they brought Angelo back and let Tojo beat him. Just wear the popos out on the way out the door.
Oh, that would be tremendous, because look where we are on June the 6th. We are in Lexington, Kentucky. Not a weekly stop here. Rupp Arena in Lexington, Kentucky, Thursday night, June the 6th, in a summer special. 10 big matches. And again, it will feature Jerry Lawler versus Randy Savage in a loser leaves town match, which is huge for Lexington, given the ICW based out of there for some time.
You're going to be seeing a loser leave town, no time, no disqualification for the Southern Heavyweight Championship, with Randy Macho Man Savage and Tux Newman on one side of the ring, Savage defending against Jerry the King Lawler with Austin Idol in his corner. Loser, leave town.
Give me the microphone right now. Give me the microphone right now. All the other names and the matches on the card mean nothing to me. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's one match that night, and everybody knows that. I live in Lexington, Kentucky, yeah. That is my base. That is my base, and we went head-to-head before, haven't me and Lawler. Lance Russell, who's got this? Yeah, who's got it now? And now we're talking loser leaves town. Well, I'm talking to you right now, and I'm saying Lance Russell, and I'm saying UPI and AP and whatever it wants to go, that I guarantee victory. Yeah, I guarantee victory. You know that?
That's pretty strong.
You know what I said?
Randy.
Oh, yeah, real strong. I mean, real strong. I mean, it's all happening on one night, and I don't remember anything that you said other than that. Loser leaves town. The King versus the Macho Man, yeah. Goodbye, Jerry Lawler. Yeah, goodbye. Because you ain't going to be there no more. I live in Lexington, Lance Russell.
Thursday, June the 6th, that's when it all happens. You've got to be there. 10 matches paid off with a loser leave town. No time, no disqualification. You heard it right. Loser leave town. Jerry the King Lawler going after the Southern heavyweight title held by Randy Macho Man Savage. Jerry, it is coming down right there in Rupp Arena.
Well, that's right, Lance. A lot has transpired in this past week. You know, originally the match was signed, just a Southern heavyweight title match there in Lexington, and I think that Randy Savage sat down with Tux Newman and they tried to get their heads together and try to come up with some kind of way that they could intimidate me. And this, obviously, is the way that they think they're going to get the job done. They went to the promotion. They asked for it to be a loser leave town match, and I think they thought I wouldn't agree to the match. Well, I'll just say this. The toughest match that I've ever had in my entire career was right there in Lexington. It was a loser leave town match also against Bill Dundee. Everybody knows the extra kind of pressure that's added to a match like this. You're talking about one way or the other, the end of an era as far as professional wrestling goes there in Lexington. Randy Savage, it's true, the Macho Man, that's his home. He has a home there. His family's from Lexington. You know, without a doubt, he doesn't want to leave that area. At the same time, Lexington has been one of the most important cities as far as my wrestling career has ever that I've ever wrestled in, and I for sure don't want to leave Lexington. I want to walk out of that arena still once again the Southern heavyweight champion and being able to come back again next month. Savage, I want you to know this, brother. If you think this is going to be a cakewalk, you're in for the surprise of your life. You better get your bags packed. You better take a good look around town because it's going to be the last time you see Lexington for 1 year.
And we're going to look at the card, and it goes like this. A little bit of, we've seen this kind of trickery before. Tommy Gilbert over Tracy Smothers. The Spoiler, Frank Morrell over Mark Batten. Random Job Guy, the Invader, over Brad Batten. You can't even beat the Invader? Jesus Christ. Poor Battens.
Good Lord.
We're going to bring it back with the six-man no. Now it all makes sense. The Battens and Smothers over Gilbert, the Invader, and the Spoiler. Looks like Austin Idol coming in, Dahlem, for the big summer special here in Lexington, scoring a win over Adrian Street. It's Jay Youngblood and Speedy Talltree over Lanny Poffo, and look where Lanny is, and J.R. Hogg. Jerry Oski defeating Billy Travis one-on-one. The Fabs over Kareem Muhammad and the Mexican Angel, and PYT are the ones defeating Tojo and Jerry Oski in a Tennessee Street fight. So you can notice Jerry Jarrett is not here, which leads me to believe, did he lose one of these loser league matches with Tux, and I got it wrong in the results? I'm not sure. We're going to have to wait and see what happens on TV this week. But the PYT over Tojo and Oski, so Oski doing double duty, and or maybe Jerry just decided, I don't feel like wrestling no more.
That seems the most likely scenario, quite honestly. You know, I wonder, seeing them two paired together, I feel like around June of '85, this Austin Idol Adrian Street match was probably going on next door in Southeastern for Ron Fuller.
Okay.
And they just brought
it
match
up
over
there,
here
right?
to Kentucky, but who knows? But
very well could be. I mean, I'd pay for that one. That was two of my favorites that I didn't really get to see a whole lot of growing up. We close out the show, and no shocker here. It's Jerry Lawler over Randy Savage, loser leaves town. So the Macho Man has made the rounds, and he is no longer part of the Memphis Territory. No gimmicks here, guys. Randy Savage leaves, but he's off to greener pastures. The Macho Man off to the World Wrestling Federation, and of course, history writes itself. History beckons the Macho Man as he goes on to become the Intercontinental Champion and the World Champion within just a matter of a few years. It's crazy to think he went from this to that in just a few years' time.
it's amazing. Yeah. It was, like you said, it's so prophetic that, he said 5 years, and he almost nailed exactly when he hit the mountaintop, within a year or so, as far as winning the title and all that. And I hope this isn't the last we see of the tag team of Tojoski, because that's what I was going to call them if they're a regular tag team.
Well, if Jerry Jarrett takes the back seat, we may see a little more Tojoski. It's very possible. We'll just, and you came up with it, so you can throw it on his shirt, guys, and that'll be fun.
Yes.
All right, we're going to close out this week, June the 7th, Friday night. And is it Glasgow or Glasgow, Kentucky? I don't know. I don't have any results, but you might know the name of the city.
It depends on who you talk to, but mostly it's Glasgow, Kentucky.
Well, I always thought it was over there in Europe somewhere, Glasgow. Wasn't that like where Roddy Piper was kayfabe from or something? But apparently it's over here in Kentucky as well, I guess. And, of course, Blytheville, Arkansas, American Legion Arena, 6 matches on the card. All I have for that one is Kareem Muhammad and the Mexican Angel for June the 7th in Blytheville. So they really had a big show there. That's going to wrap it up this week for the Regional Rasslin, easy for me to say, the Regional Rasslin show. And wow, another week in the books. We head into June and no more Macho Man, which could get scary with Tom Ernesto as the booker.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride. We got half of 85 with the Macho Man, so that's something at least. But like you said, he's moving on to much greener pastures with Lanny Poffo riding his coattails all the way.
Well, we were a little spoiled here with Randy Savage. We knew we were going to get it. We knew we were going to get at least one good segment, one good promo, or one good match every week. And unfortunately, with him gone, I don't know, what's going to happen. Hopefully, some of the big guns return. Hopefully, we see a little more. And I didn't look ahead, so I'm not really sure what's coming. I know a couple of the heels that are coming. That's going to be interesting, to say the least. But yeah, it's going to be. Well, we've seen Dr. D. David Schultz in and out. He was interesting. Kareem Muhammad's been fun, but I feel like his time's coming soon too, because nobody stays around Memphis that long. But I could be wrong, and hopefully I am. But for right now, man, Jerry Lawler needs some new opponents, and Randy Savage, well, we wish you well in your future endeavors.
Yes, sir. He is headed north, and it will be interesting to see who Tom Ernesto deems appropriate to plug into that top heel spot for Lawler's next big challenge.
What, are you kidding? The Mexican Angel came in specifically for that reason, I'm sure.
I feel like on these house shows, and especially even though they're a tag team there against the Fabs,
yeah,
I feel like Kareem was probably using some of those racist jokes against the Mexican Angel back in the dressing room when they were getting ready.
I wouldn't doubt it. What are you going to do to a guy the size of Kareem Muhammad, right? Especially when you're like 50 years old, the Mexican Angel here. But yeah, that's gonna finish up another week. We're now in the month of June, so we're in the summer of 85. Going to be a fun time. Can't wait to see what happens here next. And a lot of big names coming in, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, Gene, you've got a lot of shit going on over there at the Retro Wrestling Review. It's time, guys, for a new project talking about USWA 1991. Tell them all about that and tell them what you put out there in order to set everything up.
Yeah, we put out a 1990 in review episode where we kind of fired through basically almost every card in 1990. We didn't hit everyone. We did hit the high spots on most all of them, and we talked about the big feuds of the year, Lawler, the famous, infamous, whichever you want to put it, Jerry Lawler and the Snowman angle, the shoot, worked shoot angle before it was popular. And there was a lot of interesting stuff in 1990, and honestly, if there was enough decent footage out there of Memphis 1990, we would have just started in 1990 and worked our way forward reviewing. But I'm sure as well as I do, the 1990 in Memphis is very scarce. If you buy a set from where if you go online, like, hey, they've got a set for 1990 and you get it, most of it's the Dallas stuff.
Yeah. Now,
there's a guy on YouTube who went and took, kind of like our friend Mr. Krieger. This fella went and took all the different sources he could find of 1990 Memphis TV and started splicing them together. And so the quality's kind of all over the place. And so me and the guys talked about it like, that's a little too iffy. And 1991 has its moments, but we've got most of it. So starting next week, or with episode, I guess it's 61 or 2. I've done so much editing lately, I can't keep up. We're starting with 1991, and we're going to go week to week, just like we did in 1993, and watch and review the shows. And should be fun. It's Josh's absolute favorite year of Memphis wrestling, which I find to be interesting, because I mean, I remember bits and pieces of 1991, but I haven't watched it in a long time, and I don't know that I've ever sat and watched it all the way through because we didn't get it consistently in 1991 where I lived. I was just seeing different pieces and parts of it at different times. Then years later, I traded for it and saw a lot of it, but still didn't see all of it. But, you got the Tennessee versus Texas is the most prominent thing that most people remember, with Eric Embry and Tom Pritchard and Tojo carrying a Texas flag, wearing a cowboy hat, Miss Texas, Jacqueline, and then you've got Tagar, Lord of the Volcano, and then guys like Sabu and Rob Van Dam and the Sandman all pass through there, which, I mean, I'm sure most people are like, what, huh? The ECW guys? Yes, folks, they passed through Memphis. Everybody did at some point, one way or another. They were anybody in the 90s and into the early 2000s. At some point, somehow, some way, I promise you, they passed through Memphis. So
from
should
the
be an interesting year. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, from the Hulkster to the Warrior to the Madness to Stone Cold to the Rock, everybody came through Memphis, man. That's for sure.
Undertaker.
Kurt Angle, yeah.
Yep, they all came through.
Sure enough. Oh,
We're
man.
going to talk about
It's going to be fun times. I remember getting, and this is dates when I last watched 1991. I remember getting the tapes, the physical VHS trading, back in the tape trading. So probably about 25 years since I watched this stuff and did the match listings and things like that back then. So it's going to be fun to go through with you guys and kind of get to see all of it again, because I've only seen bits and pieces since that time. So it's going to be definitely a fun ride. And other than the usual suspects, it's going to be a whole nother world than 1993, a whole new world of talent coming through there, and some really interesting storylines and some good talent too. Like you said, you named a few of them right there. Embry, I loved him for the promos, and Tom Pritchard was just great, all the way around. So there's going to be fun to be had. Certainly in 1991 USWA. Looking forward to that on the Retro Wrestling Review, guys. Of course, the video cast version and the podcast version, whichever way, whatever tickles your fancy, I guess is what I can say there. And as we wrap up, I just want to once again thank everybody, for all the follows and things. Everything's the numbers continue to outdo themselves every time a Regional Rasslin show drops. I just can't believe more and more listeners every week, which means it's not just the topics. It's not just one particular co-host. It's people wanting to have a good time learning about Territory era, which tells me that, there it's not just a small niche. There's a good niche of people out there that really want to have a good time and go back and just relive history.
Well, I think that's kind of one of, WrestleCopia's niches, that you can learn wrestling history and have a good time. It's not mutually exclusive. It doesn't have to be a roast of, hey, we're just supposed to make fun of this stuff. But it also doesn't have to be stuffy, boring, monotonous, monotone, and then this happened, and then that happened. And so I think that's what really speaks to people with as far as WrestleCopia goes, is that perfect mix of information, accurate information, and entertainment. So kudos to you for doing that across so many different shows, because that's the challenge. It's one thing to have one good show or two good shows, but you've got you're juggling a whole multitude of them, and as far as Regional Rasslin goes, a whole multitude within one stream, if you will, or whatever you want to call that. And so keeping all those moving and keeping up with all these different hosts, and God, it's a lot of work, man. I don't envy you for keeping all this going. And now with all these video casts, just prepping all these freaking videos just to put them on is a job in itself. And then actually wrangling all the people to sit and watch them. And I wish people could spend 1 week doing that sort of thing just to get a remotely mild appreciation for what goes into it, because they have no idea.
No, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work, but I mean, as long as I feel like we're telling these stories, man, and they're out there for people to learn from, and maybe they'll go get educated themselves, going further back or further forward and picking up what they want to learn out of this. But at the same time, I took a week or so off, and I'm back, and now I've got Steve Crawford, not on assignment, but rather on vacation somewhere in Iceland or wherever the fuck he went this time. He just goes everywhere around the world. And then
world traveler.
Yes, indeed. And then Vandal Drummond he's out for a couple weeks on vacation as well right now. So we're going to have them back. We're going to be closing out both of those projects pretty soon, but Vandal and I are already talking about our next project. Steve is going to be working on a brand new project I'm excited to discuss and announce when we close up the Memphis 77 stuff. So we've got a lot coming up. Herb Simmons, he reassured me he is totally on board. We're going to be telling the story of St. Louis Wrestling Club very shortly here. So we've got new projects on the way. This one's we're in the heart of Memphis 1985, going nowhere. Jamie Ward, just kicked off Georgia 1982. People love Georgia, obviously, for the national cable. Everybody was watching, at least different areas of the world at that time. So we've got a lot going on here at Regional Rasslin, and we've upgraded it to Regional Rasslin Unreeled, guys, talking about patreon.com/WrestleCopia and the ultimate tier. Now that's going to get you a whole bunch of stuff you can't get at any of the other tiers, but it includes, it's like Regional Rasslin here on steroids. And basically we're doing a watch along. We're doing a video cast. I want to thank Jamie Ward for stepping in, doing the first few with me already. We're going to have some rotating guests coming in depending on the territories, but we've already put out a Memphis 1986. We've got World Class. Well, maybe by the time this drops, World Class 1982 will already be out. We've got a couple other ones already out as well. And so right now we're testing the waters, and we're going to let the patrons vote on which ones they want us to cover in depth. And we'll go back to those and take it, for the year of TV or whatnot, and kind of tell the story from that way. But for anybody who's already watched them, and I'm trying to work out a way to put at least one of them on YouTube or one of them in audio form on the Regional Rasslin podcast for people to see what it's about. It's not just sitting there and laughing at the show or talking about what we see on the screen. it's like this show right here, Gene. We're doing a deep dive and we're discussing what's going on behind the scenes, what's happening in the territory at the time, what the promos are about, why this guy's feuding with that guy. It's not just a TV show on your screen. So it's basically more of the same. It's just video footage that goes along with it.
And that's a tough balance, because that's what we're trying to do with the newfangled version of the, review, the USWA show, is watch the shows while still keeping that deep dive discussion element. And it's not easy to do, and we're still working out the kinks, but that's really cool because there's times that when we're doing this 85 show, I was like, man, it'd be cool if people could see what we're talking about as we talk about it. But, who knows? We may circle back around and watch some of that 85 stuff at some point for Unreal. So that's cool. And I'm going to try to carve some time out in my schedule to do some of those with you, because y'all are watching some really cool stuff, and it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it totally is. Instead of just going in and watching them, for years now, I've went back and watched the early Mid-South, for instance, that's been available on the network, that was put out through the Universal Wrestling Archives. And we started with the first episode available, which was the first week of December 1981. Now, if you put it on TV, it could be a little, I'll be honest, it could be a little boring. There's not a lot of promos or stories going on in that first episode. But what I did was I went back, and thanks to fellow listener Brian Ockman, who sent me all of his results from 1981 that he kept way back in 81, sent me a copy, took pictures and sent me a copy of all the results he took from every TV episode, who won, who went over, the feuds that were going on, the finishes, etc. And thanks to his help, I was able to tell a story on that episode, the entire episode, as to why every single squash match on that episode was important and what was going on. So it was a real fun time to be able to educate myself and everybody else out there. So just a little taste of some of the stuff we put out there. And we did a episode of Southwest as well. The first episode aired on the USA Network, and we've got more coming. So it's a lot of fun stuff going on. And obviously you're invited anytime to do, whatever one tickles your fancy, as I've used it twice now, in one episode. I've never used it before in my life. So that's good. But at this point in time, guys, we're going to wrap the show up. I want to thank Gene again for being here to cover another week of the Memphis Territory. The Macho Man's gone. What's next here for the CWA and Tom Ernesto's booking? We won't have to wait long to find out. We'll be back soon. More Regional Rasslin on the way. Until then, I want to thank you again, Gene, for doing this one with me.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. And don't forget, folks, the Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert book is out there. You can get it. You can search on Amazon, Books of Me, and any reputable bookseller sites. It's even on eBay. So if you want it, it's out there. And I'm currently about halfway through Wolfie D's book with him, and that'll be coming out probably in late August, early September if we stay on track. And that's been a fun project. So got that coming. And man, I wish I could say a couple of the others that I've recently talked to some people that are chomping at the bit to do a book. And so some cool stuff on that front as well. So
Very good. All right. Well, you guys, I totally forgot, Gene. I should have gave you that plug for the book, the Eddie Gilbert book.
No, okay.
Go out, buy the book. And it's going to be a good time. Can't wait to hear what you got in store beyond the Wolfie D book. But I'm sure we'll find out in due time. But for right now, guys, we're going to wrap things up. I want to thank Gene again, and we'll be back soon. More Regional Rasslin on the way. And again, in the meantime, please check out patreon.com/WrestleCopia. So many great video casts going on right now. It's just more of the same. Great fun here, only in video form. Watch along with us. We'll see you soon.